Christensen. I work here in the Maker Lab at Chicago Public Library, and we are coming up on our second anniversary here. What we do is teach people how to use free software to design stuff and then make it on these different machines that are becoming much more widely available to the public now. So we've got some 3D printers, we've got laser cutters, we've got vinyl cutters, robotic knitting machines, but we're all about introducing the public to the maker movement, showing them the possibilities of designing stuff for themselves and making it, and we also introduce them to the wider maker community around the city. There are a lot of other hackerspaces and other educational institutions that have related stuff where they can take some of the skills that we introduce them to here and go and develop them even further. Besides the high-tech stuff, we also have handcraft type classes. So we do two different things here usually. We either have a class where we have a project, we show people how to do it step by step. They get to do some of their own design in it, and we make it. The class lasts 2 hours. They get to take the project home at the end, and it's free. The other thing we do, and what's going on right now, is we have Open Lab when people come in with their own designs, and we help them make stuff. So we do have a nominal charge for the materials in the Open Lab. Like on the 3D printers, we charge $1 per half hour printing time. On the other ones, it depends on the kind of material they use. But that's why we're here, to let people develop their skills at designing stuff and show them the possibilities of making the different stuff. All the software that we use in here for design is free. We try and use as much open source software as we can. An example of design software that we use is Tinkercad, which runs in the web browser. It's not open source, but it is free. And so people can take what they learned in one of our classes, go home, log on to their Tinkercad account and work on a design and make something that takes a lot longer than they spend in here in the class, and then come in during one of our Open Lab times and print it out. Some of the other software that we use, Inkscape is one that we use all the time for two-dimensional design. That one is free and open source, and we can use that to create files that we can cut and engrave on a laser cutter, or cut out with the vinyl cutter, or you can cut stencils or stickers or iron-ons for t-shirts on the vinyl cutter. You can also, the files from Inkscape, you can import those into some of the different 3D software. Like if you bring it into Tinkercad, it'll take that two-dimensional shape and add a third dimension, so you get kind of a cookie cutter cut out of that shape. You can use that in your design. So the different equipment that we have, we've got on each end, there's laser cutters, they're 40-watt laser cutters. We use them to cut a lot of different materials like acrylic. It can cut and engrave on that, wood, anodized aluminum it can engrave on, but it's not strong enough to cut that. We've had people bring in other materials, like I had somebody bring in some cork that he wanted to cut out that had to be soaked in water so it wouldn't catch on fire. I've had leather and alligator skin shoe leather that a guy brought in to engrave on. We've done that. You do have to be kind of careful with the materials in the laser cutter, because it's on the plastics, it's vaporizing that plastic, so vinyl will emit chlorine gas. So we don't allow that, but there's a pretty wide variety of materials that you can do on that. We've got the vinyl cutters that I mentioned that you can do different stuff with. We've got the 3D printers, several kinds of 3D printers. One set prints in PLA plastic, which is biodegradable. It's made from corn, and it's pretty strong. The other kind prints in ABS plastic, which is just a little bit stronger. It's the kind of plastic that Lego blocks are made out of. We also have a CNC router that can carve wood or plastic or other relatively soft materials like that. And up on the wall there, we've got some stuff from a robotic knitting machine class that we had. Those are machines that were made in the 80s, and they were originally designed to just print out designs that you got on a floppy disk from the manufacturer, but somebody wrote a hack for it that can take any design that you do and you'll be able to print it out on those.
So how did this get started?
We opened 2 years ago, and originally it was a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is a federal agency. The plan at that time was they were going to have the Maker Lab in here for 6 months, and then they were going to clear all the equipment out and use this room to try some other new library service. But the Maker Lab has been really, really popular, and that grant got extended to a full year eventually, and then after that ran out, we got another grant for Motorola Mobility, which is what we're using right now. That goes through the end of this year. And they're looking for further funding. I'm pretty optimistic because the lab has been really heavily used. People love it. People have been learning a lot in here, and it's just going really well.
So do you work for the Chicago Public Library
system? Yeah, I'm
system?
a librarian. I've worked for Chicago Public Library for over 20 years, and I've always thought that the library should be doing stuff like loaning out tools and these kind of services that are to provide a place for the public to learn things like this. So being in here is great. It's a lot of fun.
So what's your background, and that you can go from being a librarian to running the Maker Lab?
I didn't have any real design background or background with this kind of equipment. I was kind of a computer geek, but other than that, we've learned a ton since we began. When we first opened up, we had 2 days of classes at the Fab Lab at the Museum of Science and Industry. They have a lot of similar equipment to what we have here, and we took a couple days of classes there. So we had like 4 classes on 4 different machines, which are the regular classes that they give to the public there. And that was just enough for us to start teaching our first few classes. And since then, it's just been a continuous process of learning as we go along. We've learned a lot about how to troubleshoot the machines and how to design stuff in the software. And all the people that we've had working in the lab are great. They all have different skill sets, and they're all willing to share what they know with the other people. So we've been teaching ourselves a lot.
Do you ever take any of the equipment out to the schools themselves just to show them what's here?
Not to schools, but we have been doing mini Maker Labs at a bunch of different branches. We've had the Up Minis, the printers that print in ABS plastic, have been going out to there, and also vinyl cutters. And they've also been doing some craft classes with fabrics and yarn and stuff out there too. So yeah, we have been doing kind of the library has about 80 different branches around the city, so we've been going to all different locations around the city and doing that. And that we started last year. It was really successful, and so we're doing it again this year at more different locations and for longer times.
So is there a goal or a vision or a plan for where this all goes out, from here?
Well, you can look at that in a couple different ways. One is our goal for the people that come in is for them to learn more about these different technologies, learn more about design, and then maybe go out to a Makerspace and they start making stuff in metal or other materials that we don't have the capability to make here, or start doing electronics, soldering that we can't do here. And so that's kind of our goal for the public. For ourselves, I'd certainly like to see this expand. I think there's a potential that it will. We've been really popular, and I also would like to see permanent Maker Labs like this at some of the other locations. So far, we've been doing the mini Maker Labs for a few weeks at various locations, but a lot of people don't, from the neighborhoods don't necessarily come downtown that much, so to have them out in the neighborhoods I think would be really valuable.